Quick trigger warning before we get into this one. This is a highly emotionally charged subject matter. Therefore, I do want to let it be known that the only reason I am speaking on this in the first place is for healing purposes, period. That's the only intention of this video, is to heal on both sides of the conversation. Now, I'm not an individual who sugarcoats, and if you've seen me before or listened to me before, you know that I don't sugarcoat a damn thing. And if you have not met me or seen me before, hello, my name is Aquarius Waive, and I don't sugarcoat a damn thing. So that being said, let's get into it. Let's talk about infidelity, or otherwise known as cheating. So my definition of infidelity or cheating is pretty straightforward. It is when you go behind your partner's back in a monogamous relationship, when you go behind your partner's back and have a physical or an emotional relationship with somebody else. And I want to make that clear. My definition is also the emotional relationships that you build with another person. Now, some people might already say, oh, well, what if I'm just, bonding like a sister or a brother? No, I'm not talking about that. You know what I'm talking about. When you're having those type of conversations with people outside of your main relationship. Yes, those type of conversations. You know what I'm talking about. And if you already triggered, then that shows which side of the conversation that you stand upon. Now, I'm going to give my straight up opinion about this. I do not stand for it. I am not a co-signer of it, and I will not validate it in any space. Now, I am a coach. I am a consultant. I am somebody who has, a book of business of individuals that come to me strictly to help them through their lives, right? Some would refer to that as a life coach, etc. So I work with people on a day-to-day basis, and a lot of it is validating people's experience. But that experience I do not validate because I do not enable characteristics, behavioral patterns that are going to disempower the person or hurt others in the walk of way. Like, it's different to do what you want to do so long as you're not having an effect on other people. However, when it comes to infidelity or cheating, it is inherently having a negative effect on the people around you. It's going to affect somebody besides yourself. Like, if you're doing something to yourself, such as a drug abuse or some chemical dependency, even that I'm not necessarily going to validate. We're just going to get to the bottom of why it is that you have this certain addiction. What is it that you're trying to cope through or compensate for? But when you're cheating, when you're in an infidelity type of situation, there is no excuse around that. And so I just want to kind of scratch that or take that out of this equation completely. Is there is no valid excuse for it. Not only do I not stand for it, but I also 1000% stand on this. Now, if I found myself in that situation as a grown man where I was cheating on my significant other, I still would have zero, and I mean zero, excuse as to why I did it. And it is simply because I am insecure. It is simply because I am displaying characteristics of a lack of morality, a lack of dignity, a lack of integrity. It is my own character defect and character flaw that would have led me to such a situation. And I'm an open book to anybody who has a question to ask. And I'll tell you straight up, the last time I ever was in such a situation was when I was 18 years old. I was a senior in high school. I just moved high schools and had a girlfriend in one school, and then I met a girl in another school and, went to her house upon a few days of meeting her, and we did a few things at her house. And the next day she texted me a little poem, because I was a rapper back in the day. She texted me a poem, and in that poem she's like, you acting kind of shady, you acting kind of babe, calling me baby, but I know that you got a lady, and her name is, now I'm not going to say the name, but the name rhymed with everything else I just said. And after receiving this message, I knew I was caught, I knew I was got, period, and I had a decision to make. Right? Am I going to lie? Am I going to try to make an excuse for myself? Am I going to come out about it? What am I going to do? Right? Now, I'm not with this person. They just happen to be somebody that I was trying to get, some side action from. Right? I was trying to be trifling with. However, what I decided to do at 18 years old was to break off the relationship I had with the person that I was currently with. And so I broke off that relationship the same day. Now, does that make me a better person or more moral person in that situation? Absolutely not, because I already did the deed. I already made a decision to hurt and break that person's trust. In that one momentary decision, I broke the trust of this young woman who probably was going to have that experience for the rest of her life. Because I also happen to be the person who took her V card and things of that nature, right? I don't even know what we call it, taking somebody's V card. We happen to, consummate S3X, and that just happened to be her first time with me. So therefore, she was somebody who was bonded to me in a very different way. And so after that experience, I said to myself, I will never again allow myself to take somebody through that. I never again will allow myself to be the type of person who would ever even do that. And since then, it's almost been a decade since then, I have not been in a single situation. Now, have I been in relationships that I didn't want to be in? Have I had times where the temptation was higher? Have I had times where the person that I was with was acting certain ways towards me that might have been a great excuse for me to step out of my relationship? Absolutely. All of these things showed up in the last 10 years. A multitude of experiences, a multitude of situations and circumstances where I could have justified the infidelity, but instead I chose to stick to the character that I developed within myself. And so this ain't a message to men, this ain't a message to women, this is a message to everybody, because this pertains to all of us. There is no valid excuse for infidelity. So when we see that there's no valid excuse, then we have to dig deeper. Why are people doing it? And when we get to the root of it, it simply comes down to a point of validation. We do it because we want somebody to make us feel a certain type of way. When you are in a relationship and you step out on that relationship, it's usually because you feel like you're not getting something from the relationship, right? Some people say, nah, it's just, I just wanted something different. I want some extra. Yeah, that's validation. You're looking to be validated in some sense or some fashion. And so you step out on your relationship. Some people say, well, I wasn't being listened to. Well, he wasn't, taking care of my needs, or she wasn't taking care of my needs. He or she wasn't respecting me. Whatever the excuse may be, when you get to the bottom of it, it's because we are looking for a way to mask our own insecurity, our own sense of low self-worth. We do not believe that we are enough in and of ourselves, so we step out and look for something externally that's going to validate or meet that perceived need that we have. And so again, I've heard of a multitude of reasons that people have given as far as why they did what they did, and all they are excuses. Me, it was an excuse. I could have said, well, my old girlfriend, I didn't go to the same school as her anymore, and we were young, right? Like I was 18, and I think, she was 17 at the time, or 16 turned 17. Yes, it sounds weird, but we were both in high school, right? Get over it. Like I met her when I was around 16. So basically, I was in a situation where I made a decision to step out on the commitment that I had made to this young woman, and these were the consequences. And now this is what she has to live with. And therefore, this is going to reflect back on me. I'm not going to absolve that. Because me absolving that is me saying, well, it's somebody else who caused this, right? And if I take away the ownership or the accountability from what I did, I do not learn from that situation. Now, I'm not talking about holding on to a guilty conscience. I don't believe in guilt tripping or beating yourself up, because that's just as bad as not taking ownership at all. It's a woe is me type of mentality. I'm such a bad person. I'm a terrible person. We use that as an excuse as well. Again, I told you, I don't sugarcoat nothing. I tell it straight up. So when you find yourself in a relationship and you step out on that relationship, you are looking to be validated in one fashion or one form. You're looking for somebody else to meet a perceived need that you have. So you are inherently selfish, and selfishness is rooted in fear. So you are a fearful individual who is stepping out on your relationship. We talk about, high value man. A high value man is somebody who can, be with whoever he wants to be. Yeah, that person who is calling themselves a high value man or high value woman, that individual is not satisfied with the relationship because they're not satisfied with themselves. Why would you need 10 people to be in a relationship with in that intimate way in order for you to feel whole? It's because you do not feel whole in and of yourself. As a matter of fact, the one relationship shouldn't be what makes you feel whole. We shouldn't be looking towards relationships with the external world in order for us to feel fulfilled from within. We're supposed to cultivate that within ourselves, then step into these relationships as a whole individual. But instead, we step in as fragments. We step in as fractured individuals, and we bring one part of our personality, usually the most masquerade part of ourselves, And then when that falls apart, we're now looking for something else to try to satisfy us because we do not feel fulfilled within ourselves. So this conversation really comes down to this. When you find yourself on the other side of infidelity, first and foremost, you have every right to leave that relationship. Like, if you are an honest person and you have been honest in your relationship and you're not a hypocrite about this, then you have every right to simply distance yourself because this person has shown their cards. They have shown where they stand. And where they stand is they're more about meeting their own needs. They're more about feeding that ego aspect of self than they are about developing a relationship with you. And sometimes it's the hardest decision to make because we have built these worlds with these people. But I am a believer that if you are somebody who stands in the right when it comes to this specific subject, it is okay to leave that situation. There's an old man, they said 98 years old, and his wife was like 90, and he found out that she had an affair like 50 years ago, and he divorced her at 98. And some people thought that was wild, but I said, good for him. When I saw that, I said, good for him. He's got some self-respect, right? He values himself enough to say, you know what? I don't care if it was 50 years ago, whatever it is. I've been loyal, I've been faithful, and this is what I stand on. So you can go, and I'll find me a new wife at the old age home, or I'll find me a new wife in heaven, whatever it's looking like for him, right? And so we have to have that same type of self-respect to say, you know what, I do deserve better than this because I am displaying better than this. Now, if you're somebody who's also kind of sneaking around and you're talking to different people, you're becoming one of them, like you're saying, well, they did it, so therefore I'm going to do it, then that's different. Then that's a whole different conversation to be had. But I'm speaking directly to the individual who truly wants to have a genuine and real relationship with that one individual. First within themselves and then with that one individual, right? So it's perfectly okay. I give you permission right now. Even though you don't need anybody's permission, I'm still giving you that right now. Here's your card. Use that freely. It's a lifetime guarantee. That's a platinum edition card right there. That's a platinum membership right there. Use that card. It's called self-respect. And it can swipe your way out of any situation that you are acting above or you are holding a standard higher than within your own life. Now, for those who are on the other side of the conversation, right, the cheaters of the world, etc., the individual who is keeping themselves in this cycle of excuses, self-hatred, internalized guilt, etc., but above all else, you're just making excuses as to why you continue this behavior. I don't care if you're a rapper and you've got 120,000 DMs a day coming in with these women trying to do things with you. I don't care if you're that person or you're this athlete or you're celeb, whatever you are, if you are cheating within your relationship and you promise somebody monogamy, you are still in the wrong. We make things right in this society that aren't right, and we give passes simply because somebody's talented or somebody looks good or whatever it may be. I don't give any of those damn passes, not to myself or to anybody else. I don't give that excuse to anybody for anything. I've been in situations, circumstances where people would be like, damn, why wouldn't you just get some on the side? Like, how can you go so long with that? I'm like, listen, because I made a commitment to them, not the circumstances that we're going through. I made a commitment to them. And if they break that commitment, then I step out. Not step out the relationship, but I break up the relationship and I let that be known. But if you're somebody on that other side, the least that you can do, if you are the cheater, right? If you have that propensity, the least you could do is let the people that you're with know. Stop being a coward, right? I was a coward at 18 years old when I made that decision, and you're being a coward right now, not being upfront with that person. Oh, but it's going to break their heart. It's going to hurt. Yes, it's going to break their heart. But you're doing worse right now. You're doing dirt. You're living in the shadows, and it's always going to meet you. Karma is very real, and she always comes to collect. And you might not be afraid of her, but you're going to look at the rest of your life and think, why are things never turning out? Why does it seem like all these bad things? It's because you are facing yourself in different projections within your life. The way that you're being dishonest with your mate is meeting you in different spaces and places within your life. Nobody does not pay the price within this life. We all have to pay the price. Karma comes to collect every moment of the day. And you might not feel it at this moment. You might be in denial at this moment, but she will come to collect, and you will know when she comes for her full payment, when she comes for her entire debt that you have owed for all this time. Oh, you gonna know. Most definitely. And so I want to let you know on that side is you need healing. You don't need somebody else. You don't need to get more on the side. You don't need a side dude, a side chick, or whatever it is. What you need is healing. That's what you need. You need to work on yourself. Period. There is no other answer. It's not going to meet you in another person's bed, in another person's car, whatever it is, wherever you're getting your freak on at. It's not going to meet you there. It's going to meet you when you finally start to see what's going on under the hood of this car that you call your life. You have to start looking within and seeing what traumas are you still holding on to. What programming, what conditioning are you still holding on to that makes you feel so damn insecure that you're not even able to be honest with the person that you claim that you love? You know, I always said, if you cheat on your girl, I can't be friends with you. Because if you do that to somebody you lay with, what the hell are you going to do to me?